I recorded a video yesterday about buddy systems, and I was thinking about using it to explain the real pitfalls of having a buddy system set up to quit smoking. But I realized I kind of recorded it, and actually when I went and looked at my string on buddy systems in the Freedom from Nicotine group, I saw that it was all in reference to buddy systems online and buddy systems in support groups that are online. And I realized, I'm missing a big audience here, and actually a bigger audience than online, and it's people who quit on their own in the real world and are expecting or wanting to set up a buddy system. Again, trying to get somebody to quit with them. It is not a great idea to get your quit contingent on another person quitting. First, you don't know that they'll even start to quit. And if you're going to wait for, again, a significant other, a spouse, a friend, family member, coworker to quit, you don't know they're going to quit with you. And even if they do quit with you, it can pose a real problem. It's crucial when you quit smoking that you do so with in mind you're quitting for yourself. Yes, other people may benefit from your quitting, but that should not be your reason for doing it. You need to be doing it for you. If you start to feel that you're quitting for the sake or benefit of another person, it'll work great. It'll work wonderfully until the other person does something to really tick you off. This has nothing to do with quitting smoking. They just do something to tick you off. Family members, coworkers, friends, they can do things like this. And your instinct could all of a sudden hit at this point in time that they do something that is so disappointing to you that all of a sudden you could think to yourself, I'm depriving myself of my cigarettes for this moron? Now again, you don't normally feel this way about them. You probably won't feel this way about them in a few minutes, again, if they're a family member or friend. But at the moment that they do something to tick you off, you could start to feel that you have deprived yourself of your cigarettes for their benefit, and they're not worth it at this point. You can't work on this basis that you're depriving yourself of your cigarettes for anybody. Because if you do this, the whole premise is you are depriving yourself of cigarettes. You don't want to work on this idea of deprivation. You want to work on the basis that you're doing yourself a favor. You're doing something that you want to do when you quit smoking, not that other people want you to do. It's like when people quit smoking for a non-smoking spouse or family member. Again, the same attitude can develop. You're going to quit to make them happy, and when they all of a sudden don't make you happy, you got a great retaliatory response to an individual who ticks you off. You could take up smoking. Well, you're not hurting them. You're hurting yourself. I always tell people, if anyone's really ticking you off and you want to get even with them, you get them to take up smoking. Then you're burning them. You're not hurting yourself. You're hurting them. On the same token, for you to take up smoking to hurt them, it doesn't work that way. You're the one getting hurt in that process. So you don't want to quit for another person. You can't expect another person to quit for you. And again, this is almost the premise of the buddy system, getting someone to support you. And you don't know, again, that they're even going to start to quit. You don't know that when you call them in the process of you both being off, as far as you know, you're having a bad moment, you call them, you don't know that you don't get them at a time when they went back to smoking. And again, you could start to think, well, if they could smoke, so can I. Well, of course you can. Still, it comes down to the issue. You don't want to be a smoker. That's why you quit to start with. Just because the other person goes back, that's not a reason for you to go back to smoking. Two people can quit at the same time. If you got a smoking spouse and you both want to quit at the same time, you can do that. But keep your quits independent. Don't get locked into the other person's success or failure. Again, you've got to be quitting for you. They have got to be quitting for them. And if that's what they are doing, that's great. You want them to quit smoking for their benefit, but for your benefit, it can't make a difference. You've got to be doing this for you. Now, you will help influence people in the long run when you quit smoking. And again, people may be your spouse, it may be a close family member or friend. There are people who think that quitting is just impossible. They can't do it. They know it's impossible for them. They think it's impossible for most people. They think it's impossible for you. There's some people who look at you as the perfect smoker. You can't quit. They understand the premise because they are perfect smokers. They can't quit. You quit. All of a sudden, it can start to register. It may not be right away, but and it won't necessarily be in the beginning. In the beginning, when you look like you're having a hard time, they're looking at you thinking, well, you're nuts. Why are you putting yourself through this? But once you get through that time period, you start to realize, or they start to realize, they start to see you starting to become more and more comfortable not smoking. And the more they see this from you, from other people around them, people who used to be perfect smokers, who don't smoke anymore, the more it may start to click and to register that there really is life after smoking. So your quitting may, down the line, affect these people who you wanted to be your buddies originally. But it may not be at the same time. It very well won't be at the same time that you quit smoking. But and they may never come around. They may never quit smoking. But you're doing the best thing you can to help by just setting the example. It won't be by pestering them. It won't be by, trying to make them feel guilty because they smoke and you don't. It's just going to be by you setting the example of going on with your life and smiling every now and then without a cigarette. As they start to see this, they'll start to recognize that there is, life after smoking, from your perspective, and maybe they'll try to gain that life too. So anyway, on the board, we can control it. We can try to minimize people forming buddy systems and explain why we do that. In real world, it's under your control whether you do this or not. But when you take up a buddy system with another person, you're doing it at your own peril. You're doing it at their peril. Again, if people want to quit at the same time, that's fine. If you want to compare notes at some point, that's okay. But don't make the two quits contingent on each other. I'm going to do another video in a few minutes on comparing notes, and it's going to be, and I will call it that, so you'll be able to find that down the line in the video library of comparing notes with others who are quitting smoking. There's some important points in that too, but to keep this video relatively short, I'm not going to touch it here. So, all right, you can quit whether people are smoking around you or not. Key point: you can do it. They may be influenced by your quitting, they may not, but that's not the issue here. The issue is you've got to be quitting for you, and you're going to be the primary benefactor. Other people will benefit too, but you're the primary benefactor. And to keep the benefits of not smoking, again, it's as simple as making and sticking to that personal commitment to never take another puff.